All right, Rich, as promised, let's get back to your comment about user stories. Are they dead? Have they completely changed in what they need to be? What is the gold standard for a user story? Tell us a little bit about where you stand there, and let's keep that conversation going.
User stories are dead.
Yeah.
They're dead.
Said it.
They died a little while ago, and it's simply because user stories were designed to make the work small enough that you could hand to an engineer and they could spend a day or 2 or 3 working on that thing and then hand it off. And in a world where maybe this is a good way to describe the change. At the beginning of the AI revolution, I took a few hours and in a back and forth conversation with, it was OpenAI at the time, I forget what model, I built a little calendar widget thing that would find my free time on my calendar and put it on my clipboard. I most recently went to Claude and said, hey, make me a version of Trello that I need. And then I walked away from my computer and I walked back to a working version of Trello that I could use for myself. What that means is these small bodies of work that used to be really hard to implement even 2 years ago with AI, they were like a lot of back and forth work, are not hard now. So if you do the work of creating a user story, you're wasting your time. You can literally have the work done by the time the user story is written. So you might as well just say, go do this thing or batch them up into a larger body of work, which is one of the ways that we see things changing. You batch more work into a thing, call it a spec, batch more work into that spec and shove that into the model to get the work done.
Yeah. But this is why though the spec and the platform are so important.
Yeah.
Because they're the foundation of that fast work being good.
Yeah.
When I was in college, I took design and analysis of algorithms, and we did mathematical proofs on sorting algorithms.
That sounds awful.
It was the worst thing I ever did in my life.
You're such a better engineer for it.
But they don't do that anymore, and I don't blame them unless you're taking super hardcore computer science. Yeah. And so it becomes the operating system of AI. You have to have those things so that when it runs off and does its own thing, it's doing it in a way that matches your standards, matches your compliance, matches your governance, matches your regulatory requirements, matches how you want to position software into the world. So they become the thing that just kind of exists. And eventually, I don't know how they work. They're just there and they work.
Yeah, you shouldn't have to slow down to spin up environments or to make sure that you're following the rules and building in the way that everybody else builds. None of that should, in today's world, none of that, I guess the best way to say it is none of that should stand in the way of business progress. It used to be that we had to go look at the progression. We used to have to go buy servers. Now we write some code to spin up a server. Now we shouldn't even be doing that, right? It should just be available.
Yeah. I want a server and then I click a button and I tell Claude or I tell whatever AI model, I want a server, and then a server exists.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that. That's a great before and after. Rich, let's talk a little bit more about what you were talking about a minute ago, richer specs and the word we were using earlier, more complete context, the importance of both of those when it comes to AI assisted development or AI driven development. Why are those so much more important now and the user story is becoming less important?
The reason those are more important is because the model is going to do what you tell it, and also because the model has its own thoughts about what to build. And not in a way that they're more deterministic approaches like Hero is taking, but having that context increases the likelihood that you will get what you want. I think that's probably fairly obvious, but so it's important to build that into what you're trying to create. And the context exists both as business context that you're providing, but also environmental context that you're providing for the local dev environment that you're building within, or the cloud-based whatever dev environment that you're building within. So I think it's important to have that because that is how you define what you're building now. It used to be that you did it at a user story level and you let engineers figure out the how. Now we've combined the how with the what in this spec concept. And so I think that's it. I think that's why.